Yo, what's up, people? I'm your host, Jay Will, and I would like to welcome you to Inspire God's People, where we balance faith and business to guide you to your purpose. This is episode 228, The American Nightmare, Trump, Tyreek, and Kamala. That's right, we're going to get into it. I'm going to talk about all the stuff that's been going on in this past week, and really these past few years kind of are wrapped up in this last week. I think there's been this tension and this energy. I could say since 2020, I could say really since 2016 when Trump came in office, I could say since 2008 when Obama came in office, but wherever the inflection point is with this whole situation, we know that there is tension in America that definitely finds its way to the top during election years. That's something that I've tracked maybe the last couple of terms and find just really interesting how the world just finds its way up in arms during an election year. Like we could be doing really well the year before, especially maybe that second year, things calm down, people just living their life. But man, I tell you, nothing causes for division in America in particular during like an election season does. But there are some interesting things I want to talk about from the standpoint of being a Christian, as being a believer. One of the things that I really genuinely believe is that as a Christian, our loyalty and our faith in Jesus Christ should supersede everything in our lives, right? Put no gods before him, no idols. Like nothing comes before that commitment to Jesus Christ. Nothing comes before your soul salvation and you making it into the kingdom of heaven. There is nothing more important than that. And I cannot stress that enough. And I think when we look in the word of God, there are countless examples of how the men and women of God, I can talk. I promise I can talk, people. How the men and women of God carried themselves throughout culture and in directly dealing with government. Like I think it's really interesting this desire almost for people to separate like our Christianity and our faith from government or whatever. Like you are a Christian, right? Like I would say it like this: you're a Christian. Uh, how do you think Jesus got to the cross? Like the government, how do you think Daniel made it to the lion's den? How do you think the three Hebrew boys found themselves in the fiery furnace? Why do you think Moses was freeing, saying, "Let my people go," and they were fleeing into the wilderness? Like the idea that government just is not going to intersect your faith at all, at best is delusional, y'all. Now, I'm not here to disrespect nobody's position. I'm not trying to talk saucy. I'm not trying to go viral. I'm really just trying to kick it with you as a believer and maybe sort through some things. And maybe I'm not right. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not right, you could tell me in the comments. You could leave. Like, long as it's respectful, I'm not going to be mad at it. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to present the righteous case, right? So that's my agenda today, but we gonna dig in. We gonna dig deep into the bag today. Like we digging deep into a heavy bag because I think believers are allowing the world to lead us astray, starting in our mindset. In Romans, it says, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." And I think some of us has maybe given our we've said we follow Jesus, but I don't know that we've allowed Jesus to renew our mind because as a believer, I believe, right, that our position is we believe in repentance, which is accountability when you think about it, right? You gotta have some accountability to repent. We believe in forgiveness, right? Because there's an acknowledgement of like, yo, um, I was wrong, or we've all sinned and we need Jesus. And when you repent and he forgives you, that's where that salvation comes in. And then there's restoration. So we believe in repentance, forgiveness, and restoration as believers. So I'm leading with that to say, my intention isn't to judge anyone on any side of anything that I'm talking about today, but I am forewarning you that if you stay on past this point, we are going to get really real. And in some ways, maybe be honest in an uncomfortable way, no matter what side of the coin or fence that you stand on. Because I think sometimes just having a real conversation is maybe the beginning of us trying to find the resolution, right? Like it's really challenging to find a resolution when everybody's capping, when everybody's being fake, when everybody is putting on trying to be politically correct and trying to say the right thing and trying to please people. Like, look, bro, I might not please you today. You feel what I'm saying? I might not please y'all today, but at the end of the day, hopefully, I could leave with your respect. You feel what I'm saying? Mike Anderson, what up, fam? How you feeling, brother? All right, so we gonna jump into this. Let me say this other thing that I think is really interesting. People will, and Christians, when I say people, I'm talking. This is like family talk. Like if you a non-believer, you welcome to listen, and like this is you can definitely chime in on this. But please understand, I'm talking as a believer to believers. That is the intention of my communication today. That's who I'm directing to that. Because if you're not a believer, you're gonna think differently anyway. Like, and it's no shade. Like you can think how you want to think, but if you don't value Jesus or the Bible, like why would you value repentance? Why would you value forgiveness? Why would you value healing as it relates from the Christian standpoint, right? So I'm not even knocking you, believe what you want to believe, but this message is for believers. I'm seeing believers that want you to put your faith down when you go into the ballot, what is it, the ballot box, the voting, I can't even think of it, whatever. When you vote, they want you to put your faith down. But I promise you, my black brothers and sisters will lose their mind if somebody asks you to put your skin color down when you vote. Matter of fact, like black people, let's just be real. Like we got this thing, like being black, we have elevated, if we want to be real, to a godly level. Like we've elevated our blackness beyond our salvation, beyond our faith. I'm talking about in our actions, not necessarily in our words, but if we go off our actions, it's a lot of black people that's black first, then they Christians. They're Christians through the lens of their blackness, not black through the lens of their Christianity. If I'm being real, just with my people, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how we are. That's how we getting. And as a Christian, I'm talking to black Christians, again, I think that's a concern, y'all. Like, I think that's a problem. You feel me, Mike? Like, I think that's a real problem if we are allowing our blackness to elevate beyond our salvation, beyond our relationship with Jesus Christ. Because at the end of the day, that blackness is limited. No matter how you want to put it, is limited. You know why? Most of us, especially in America, I'm talking to, most of us ain't thoroughbreds, bro. Like it's funny, this narrative, that this way that we talk about it. Like, bro, you probably I know I done seen people do their ancestry .com or whatever. I don't know if that's the thing, but what is it? 23andMe, it's different ones. I done seen y'all get them tests and people like, man, I'm Irish. I'm 5% Irish. Like the reality of it is, if we look at even our ethnicity from a real standpoint, like we ain't all just the same. Black people come from everywhere. Black people come from different islands, different tribes, different areas. Like we not just one thing ethnically. Skin color doesn't truly define us to start off with. I'm not saying your culture isn't powerful. I'm not saying black culture in America isn't powerful, shouldn't be celebrated. No, we ain't talking about none of that. Don't take it out of context. But listen to what I'm saying. There's no black person that I know personally that will put their blackness aside when they step into the booth to vote. But I know a lot of people putting their faith aside. And the only thing I would say is show me that in the Bible. Show me in the Bible where it was okay to put your faith down for the culture, regardless of what the culture was. When the culture was bowing down to the golden calf, it wasn't okay to put your faith down. When the culture was Sodom and Gomorrah and doing everything under the sun, it was not okay to put your faith down. In the days of Noah, when there was so much evil and the culture was doing something, it wasn't okay for Noah to put his faith down. Time and time again in the Bible, we see where God elevates and shows favor to the righteous. And many times those righteous people in the Bible were up against real cultural pressures, right? So that pressure and that tension that we feel in the world today, like that's just a glimpse of what it might have been like. Because let's just be real, there is no lion's den for most of us to be thrown into today. There is no fiery furnace. There is cancel culture though. you, you might get your social media taken, but you ain't going to no fiery furnace. And let's be real, I've seen people get locked out of their social media and act like they've been in a fiery furnace. Like for us, it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind. They shut my Facebook down. Like my Twitter got shut down. I mean, whatever. I had like 10, 11,000 followers. It wasn't nothing too special. And like when it just shut down, I hadn't been going on there. I'm like, I guess I don't know what happened. It ain't there no more. Life went on. It's been gone for 6 months now, and nothing changed in my life. All right, so let's talk first about Tyreek Hill. For y'all who don't know, what we gonna do is we gonna watch a little bit of this video, this body cam. I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. You know, y'all probably already saw it, but I want to show it for reference because it might be some people out there that watch this on a replay or something and they haven't seen some of it. But for you, if you don't know, Tyreek Hill is a NFL star. This man is an amazing football player. They call him the cheetah because he is super fast. He's a wide receiver, one of the best in the league. I want to say his peers voted him this summer in some type of survey. I don't know if it was other players or coaches, but I want to say he was voted as the #1 player in the NFL this year. Like my man is nasty with it. He's cold, right? Cool. And I'm sure he's a good guy, right? So this ain't no shade towards Tyreek Hill. Although I must admit, when we dig into this heavy bag, some people might take it that way, but that's not the way it's intended. All love to him. I'm trying to approach this in the best way possible to be real, right? And to not just cap and be fake, right? And I think if we want to have healing, if we want to have restoration, like you got to see where both sides are wrong. That's a lot of times why people can't overcome conflict is because there is no alignment or agreement on where the wrong actually was, right? That's why sometimes conflict can't be resolved. So my thing is, especially with this narrative of like being black in America, you know, we take certain terms and then we just paint with broad strokes, right? And I think it's unfair, let me say this, to people who are truly wrongfully treated by police officers specifically because of their race. And especially those who have lost their lives in instances where they were doing nothing wrong, where they weren't provoking, where they were following all of the orders and obeying all the laws. And, you know, some rogue police officer, some angry person, you know, took their life or hurt them or, you know, wrongfully accused them just because they were black and they were treated differently. And I know it's hard for some people to hear that, but it does happen and it has happened. And that is not good. But here's the other side of that. I'm kind of tired of us trying to like paint every picture with the same brush. Like, because what starts happening is you start losing credibility with people if it all can't be the same. Like every situation can't just, like every black person can't just be right because they black, right? Every police officer can't just be right because they a police officer. And I feel like that's where we at as a country, the American nightmare. Everything I'm talking about today is the American nightmare, meaning like the worst case scenario for our country, the darkness of this country, things that keep us in negativity. It's stuff like this. When I say as a black person, no matter what video you show me, if the person is black, especially, you know, because a lot of times it's like you see your family in these people. We got cousins, we got uncles, we got aunties. Like a lot of this stuff is like something familiar to you. And then it makes it worse if, you know, you have had one bad experience with the police or maybe two. Like then you just have this bias approach where like, nope, anytime I see a black person engaging with the black police, the black person is right and the police is wrong. And then I see the same thing on the other side, right? Where, hey, you You believe in, like you honor officers, which we all should. Like they have a very hard job. I would never want to be a police officer. Honestly, I don't even know how they still getting people to do that, because it seems like a lose-lose to me personally. And thank you for all the police officers out there continuing to risk your life every day, because I just couldn't do it. And I got family members and friends that are police officers. I don't know how y'all do it, but I love y'all and appreciate y'all's sacrifice. But just because you a police officer can't just mean you right every time. And I found myself being frustrated with both sides. Like, when do we objectively analyze and critique each situation for its individual circumstances that occur within it, right? But what's happening is we can't do that because we got too much pride, and because we're trying to protect a position. All right, so that's what's happening in America today. The American nightmare is that people are taking sides instead of being real, instead of being objective, instead of holding people accountable, so that when we get to the situations where somebody really is wrong, no matter what side it's on, we could protect the person that was in the right. So again, if there was a suspect or somebody who put a police officer in a life-threatening situation and a police officer had to use, fatal force, like, we need to protect that police officer that's defending themselves. But at the same time, if a person was complying and doing nothing wrong, and a police officer in that position of authority misuses and cross the line, we need to hold them accountable. We need accountability across the board. If we can't get there, then we live in an American nightmare. All right, so here's what I want to say. Let's jump into the Tyreek situation. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my perspective on how Tyreek handled this. Now, here's the thing before I show this. I think it's some cussing in there, and I don't have time to mute it right now. So if your kid's listening to something, I just want to warn you, this is typically a clean show. They might cuss a couple times in this video between the officers and Tyreek. And again, I'm just skimming through it. We're not watching the whole thing. It's like 27 minutes. We're not going through all that. We might watch 2 minutes of it. But the thing I want to tell you is that when the news came out and Tyreek did a press conference before this video came out, and he said something in that press conference that was interesting to me. He said, man, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, I didn't disrespect him, and I didn't even cuss because my mama raised me better than that. And, I'm still just trying to figure out what went wrong. But, I'm one to bring people together, man. I want to be a police officer one day. I got a state trooper hat and everything. You can go find that and watch that press conference yourself. But I find it interesting the position that Tyreek took. Before the video came out, he said, I did not disrespect him. I didn't even cuss because my mama didn't raise me like that. And I'm just trying to figure out what happened. All right, now let's watch this body cam footage real quick. And let's see if you could figure out what might have happened. All right, which one is it? Tyreek, body cam footage. All right, hold on. We're going to share the screen. Let's get it to a good space. How I want to present this. Give me 1 second, y'all. Try to get it right. All right, let's watch it like that. All right, let's go. All right. It's muted right now, but the audio is gonna come in when they go. You're gonna see these officers. You're gonna see Tyreek kind of speed by in a black McLaren, I believe it is. And then you're gonna see the officers go after him, and you're gonna be able to judge this interaction for yourself. I think it's important to call out these are, I believe, Hispanic police officers. Excuse me if that's not the right ethnicity or the right way to describe it, but they're not white. I know a lot of times we get off on stuff being white. Right now, the officers, you see, Tyreek was speeding in that McLaren. You see how fast he got to go just to catch up to him. And then you're going to see when he gets there, his audio going to kick in right about now.
How's your speeding? Move forward. we got him here. 6 o'clock.
You see his window was down. Because he said how fast. Officer getting out. Windows up.
Don't knock on my window like that. Don't knock on
Why
my
don't you have your seatbelt on?
Don't knock on my window.
Why don't you have your seatbelt
Don't knock
on?
on my window like that, no.
Like what?
Don't knock on my window like
Why
Don't
you
that.
knock
have it
on
up?
my window like that.
Don't knock on my window like that.
Why you have it up? I have to knock to let you know I'm here.
Don't knock
That
on
way you
my
can
window.
lower it and talk to
Just
you.
get my ticket, bro, so I can go. I'm finna be late, gang. Do what you gotta do.
Now, hold on. At this point, give me my ticket. He called them gang. And then it's gonna be something weird. Like he calls them twin a lot of times. I'm sorry, y'all. I never heard that where I'm from. I never heard of just calling random people twin. And I think it's 3 officers, so he could have called them triplets. Anyway, I don't know what that was about when he started calling them twin, but he called them gang. Don't knock on my window like that. But he rolled his window up. He got tint. I mean, let's be real. If you an officer, I talked to some. I've heard from some officers talk to one and kind of heard like, hey, at the end of the day, officers are trained to de-escalate in this situation. And I do think that matters as I assess this video, is that they're supposed to be the de-escalators. I also just want to be mindful that their lives are in danger on every traffic stop or anything they do. It doesn't matter if you are an NFL star, you're not above the law. And I do think that we got to be mindful of that. But let's keep watching.
Keep it down. Hey! Keep your window down. Hey! Keep your window down.
Don't tell me what.
Keep your window down. I'm gonna get you out of the car. As a matter of fact, get out of the car.
Give me that.
You
Get
tell
out
me
of the
what to
car.
do?
Give me that. I'm gonna break that freaking window.
Get out of the car.
I'm finna get out.
Get out of the car right now. We're not playing this game. Get out.
Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Damn. What part of brother doing this time? Hey, Drew, I'm getting arrested, dude. I'm getting arrested. I'm getting arrested, Drew. I'm getting out, bro. God damn, twin.
When we tell you to do something, you do it.
I'm getting
You understand?
out. I'm getting out,
You
bro.
understand? Not what you want, but what we tell you.
I'm getting
You're a little
out.
fucking confused.
I'm getting out, bro.
Too late.
Chill,
Too
bro.
late.
All right, bro. Take me to jail, bro. Do what you gotta do, bro.
We are. We will.
Good, bro.
It is good.
Hey.
Don't worry about it. I hung up the phone.
No. It's a lot going on right here. They all asked him to get out. He wouldn't get out. Then they grab him. As they grabbing him, he's still not getting out. Now, to me, again, I'm not a professional in this. I'm just assessing this. I kind of feel like, bro, if you just would have stood up, you wouldn't have ended up on the ground. I'm only saying that because a lot of people have had an issue with him being on the ground. So I'm really trying to objectively see it. Like, dang, it was hot outside. They put him on the ground, but it's like he wasn't getting up, though. They were pulling him out the car after telling him to get out several times. But then you had this officer. One of the officers just comes in kind of like on 10 off rip. And I think that's where, if you think about you're supposed to be trained to de-escalate, I think that's where he's in the wrong, because you coming in hot and the other officers ain't that hot, right? So I'm also like, the majority of the officers, 2 out of the 3, they seem pretty cool, calm, and collective in this situation, right? So meaning they're still kind of carrying themselves pretty calmly and compared to like compared to Rambo. Like my man came in hot, like on the movies, you know what I'm saying? And I do think we got to be honest about that. So, but Tyreek wasn't compliant. So like, this is where, to me, like we got to be real on both sides. Let's watch a couple more seconds and then we're going to jump out of here.
Stop crying, bro.
Now he's on the ground, his teammates start pulling him. He's off the ground. There's this other aggressive moment that I want to show. You see his teammates over there. Call him the twin. I don't get it. This is the part right here that let's see.
I just had surgery on my knee.
This is where they kind of aggressively put him down. He was saying,
Chill, bro. Hey, don't do, bro. Back up. Hey, come on. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up right now. Back
You got
up.
a teammate walking up,
Back up right now.
got his hands up.
Get back. I'm telling you, go back. I don't have to talk to you. Go back. Go back.
How far you want me to
Go back. Wait. Pass that card. Pass that card.
Giving you a lawful command, you need to step down.
You want to be in handcuffs too? All right, then back up. We're not playing this game here, man.
Well, I just want to know what happened.
So it's not your business. It's not your business. Keep going back. Hey, get back in your car before you get a ticket.
Got some other
Get back
teammates
in your car
over here.
and leave. You gotta go before you get a ticket.
I'm not driving.
Who's the driver?
This is my car.
All right, move. You gotta move right now.
Now, what I
Let me have
find
your license.
interesting
You
with
get a
this
ticket too.
is,
I'm coming.
Let me have your license. You get a ticket. Let me have your license.
I'm leaving.
I'm not playing.
what's interesting, the thing interesting about this is, it was already an officer there talking to them. I don't know what he was saying. This guy's definitely hot. This officer, but maybe he's the lead. Again, I don't know how police stuff work. I really just only know what I see in the movies. He seems like Rambo, Sylvester Stallone in the Expendables. He's the one. But these teammates, though, I think they playing a really, really scary, weird game as well, where you just kind of pulling up on the police in various, like one in the front, one in the back. And I know that the tendency for us is to say, hey, these guys aren't a threat because they football players. But I don't know. I also don't think these officers just automatically know these football. Remember, football players play with helmets on. You feel me? All right, so let's get up out of there. Let's go back and let me kick it with y'all. So we got a lot going on in that situation, right? And again, it's a 30-minute video. Go check it out if you want to. I really just want to talk about a couple of things from that I think we need to think through. Now, keep in mind, I ain't trying to be right, bro. I'm just trying to kick it. I'm trying to think through this stuff myself. I'm asking people questions like, yo, like, I'm seeing all the tension. And the one thing I know is it can't be as simple as like he's a black man in America. Because first of all, if we say that and that's the reason why, then we're creating the expectation or the stereotype that that's how black men in America act. I don't think most black people act like this. What do I mean by this? Tyreek was on one. Like, let's just be real. He was on one. And I don't really know what it is. I don't know if he was in like, I'm a superstar wide receiver. Like, but if you watch that video, he talks for 30 minutes straight. That's not normal. Now, I'm saying this respectfully because I actually think Tyreek might have some other issues going on. And I know a lot of times what happens when you're an athlete, especially when you're a celebrity and you famous, people kind of forgive your sins while you're good. But then they dump on you when you out of the league or you bad. And this ain't, I don't want to even try to name names or pull other players in it, but this is kind of like a cycle with athletes that you will see when they are stars and there's something that you can get out of them, you protect them. Like, athletes are some of the most protected people on earth, and y'all know it. I grew up around athletes my whole life. You know what I'm saying? Some of my closest friends are athletes. And I tell you, athletes in school, they could skip class. They don't have to get the best grades. Dog, if you a good player and like you bring in the city or the school or the town some joy, like think about how crazy we go for our sports. Athletes, entertainers, and celebrities get off and get over, and they live above the law, and they live in this world where everybody worships and praise them to the point that sometimes their ego explodes. Their ego explodes to the point where they're not even human no more. And I'm telling you, all you got to do is watch I just don't want to name people because I don't want to throw people out there like that. Some of these former athletes, when you watch, not all of them, though. I'm not talking about everybody. But some of them, when you watch them in the way they talk in interviews, you could tell this is a person that has never had accountability, where nobody has ever looked them in the eyes and said, you're wrong, because this athlete has always been someone that they needed. Somebody that you need to go win a game. Somebody that you need to go sell a product and endorse something. So what's unfair to these athletes, in my opinion, what's unfair to Tyreek Hill, as I watch ESPN and all these TV shows and basketball and football podcasts, And people, these former athletes are capping, they lying, and they come into his defense as if he's right. And we just making it all about being a black man in America. I'm just being black in America. No, you not. Black people don't act like that. Let's stop setting that standard that all black people act like this. First of all black people ain't one of the best NFL players in the league and driving a $400,000 car. Like this ain't got nothing to do with being black in America, dealing with some Hispanic cops. I don't believe that, mostly because I genuinely believe that if Tyreek Hill is not on 10 and acting arrogant and out of pocket, I don't even think this goes like that. Now, see, in the situations when it's about race and people like mistreating black people, which I do believe that happens, in those scenarios, it's literally because they're black. Meaning you could be being nice. You could be doing nothing, but because you're black, I'm going to mistreat you. In this scenario, I don't think it was because he was black. Now, I will tell you what some people will argue. I don't fully agree with it, but I understand where they're coming from. And I've talked to people that take this position of like, well, the problem is when you're black, the police, even if they're not white, police and people in that authority are trained to look at you as less than and treat you differently. Now, I know that's controversial, but I've talked to people from other ethnicities that do have a harsher judgment and have admitted to me that they have had a harsher judgment on people because they were black in the past. So I do think that happens. But I don't think we could just paint with that broad brush and just say everybody is doing that. So I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm saying, to me, this ain't that. And it's a discredit and a disgrace to the people who are real victims of that, to take this egotistical athlete who really provoked and created this entire situation. Now, that does not mean that officer wasn't on one, that Rambo shouldn't maybe be suspended for 2 weeks or something. But I don't think Rambo should lose his job. You know what I'm saying? This is a warning type thing. The same way I don't think Tyreek should be like suspended from the NFL or something like that, right? Tyreek went and played a game, even though he was dead wrong, even though his team made a statement and came out on his behalf, because everybody has to be fake because we got to be politically correct because he's black and nobody wants to tell the truth. And like, not even black people, we don't want to tell the truth when really in the corner, we like, yo, Tyreek was kind of on, right? Let's just tell the truth so we can have some credibility and so that we could protect those people who are truly innocent. So that, because if we paint the picture that what Tyreek Hill did is what black men do, this is what we don't realize sometimes as Black America. We creating our own stereotypes. Just being black in America. So being black in America is I done been pulled over by the police before. I ain't never been like, hey, you don't tell me what to do. Why don't touch my window? Hey, gang, just do what you got to do, gang. And then proceed to talk for 30 minutes straight. Now, let me take a step back. All joking aside, all exaggeration aside, I actually think Tyreek needs help. And I think what ends up happening, again, these athletes, we use them up for all their skill set. And then when they go out into the real world and they're no longer the athlete that they once were, the real world eats them up. That's what we do with people, right? You let R. Kelly sing for 30 years knowing he doing whatever he doing. And when he ain't as useful for you no more, all of a sudden now he's caught up and like now he in jail. Like, well, they knew he was messed up 20 years ago, right? Respect to R. Kelly. P. Diddy, like, and I know he going through whatever he might be going through, and I don't know all the details. I can't follow all that stuff. But I just know it's been rumors out for P. Diddy for like forever. And he was good. And now all of a sudden he not. Why do I say that? Because Tyreek Hill, my brother, what I want you to know is that these same people that are capping for you and not holding you accountable and letting you think that type of behavior is acceptable, as soon as you do something to get yourself in real trouble, they gonna be done with you, bro. And I'm just trying to tell you the real because I don't want to see you go down that road, fam. How you acting is gonna get you in some trouble. And I'm talking about, this ain't even about the police. If you go into a restaurant and treat a waitress like that, we'll have a problem with it, bro. Your money don't make you better than us. Your fame and your talent and your skill set don't make you better than those officers, bruh. You not better than regular people. You don't treat people like that. That's not character. That's low character, bro. So somebody got to tell Tyreek, but they scared to tell him because they got too much to gain from him. But they will take all that from him. And these athletes, they go out into the real world and they don't know how to fit into the real world. I'm telling you, I've read articles about retired athletes. I'm gonna tell you why. Think about if you were an athlete like Tyreek. You've been playing this sport probably since you were 7, 8 years old. Since you've been 7 or 8 years old, you've been one of the best in the world, bro. One of the best, maybe not the world, best on your block, best in your school. You've been good since you were 7. People been telling you how great you were since you were 7, 8 years old in most cases. You go to high school, you go to middle school, oh, you get to college, now you all people, what do fans do? We clap, we scream your name. That creates an ego in people where they don't know how to be normal. If everywhere I go in life, since I've been younger, I've been the man, girls like me, guys want to be like me, like I'm him, I'm all this stuff. These athletes' egos explode. And unfortunately, when they go out into the real world, the ones that can't get it in check, they don't have a place because people are done with them. And people don't want to deal with that in the real world, especially when you're not catching touchdowns no more. See, as long as you catching touchdowns, they're not going to tell you the truth, fam. But I am. Maybe it's because you don't play for the Lions. Maybe it's because I'm a good guy and I just want to tell you the truth and I care. I don't know. Maybe it's both, right? What's my point? At the end of the day, somebody in Tyreek's circle need to get him and tell him, you was dead wrong. You was dead wrong. 2 wrongs don't make a right, y'all. We learned that as kids. 2 wrongs don't make you right. That officer was wrong. Rambo was wrong. I really believe he went out of pocket. But here's where I think the real danger in what Tyreek did is, all right? Tyreek first came out and lied and said, I didn't disrespect him. I didn't cuss because my mama didn't raise me like that. That's a good soundbite in the black community. My mama didn't raise me like that. Because in most cases, she probably didn't. But you was raised out in these streets. You was raised on that field. And you were the man, and your mama didn't raise you like that, but your coaches did, your teammates did, and your teachers did. Somewhere along the line, you became a person that thought you were above the law. How do I know you think you're above the law? Because you said to the police officer, you don't tell me what to do. Now, here's the real problem. Tyreek Hill said that officer, Rambo, got to go. Now, I think Rambo was wrong. I think Rambo was real wrong. And I don't know Rambo problems the way I know Tyreek's because I ain't from that culture. It's a Tyreek. I got a lot of Tyreeks in my family. I know a lot of people like this. And so I'm speaking from that level of maybe anecdotal experience, but nonetheless, it's experience, it's familiar. So that's what I'm speaking to. But I'm not just holding him accountable. I think the officer needs to be held accountable, but I don't think he should lose his job. And I think when Tyreek goes out and says he needs to lose his job, he said he got to be gone, Tyreek's playing a dirty game, a game that could backfire. Why? Because cancel culture goes both ways. Tyreek, when you set the precedent that if somebody makes a mistake, it wasn't detriment. You ain't hurt. It wasn't that bad. He just lost his temper. The same way you did. Both of y'all did something that could have been worse. But instead of judging y'all on what could have been, I'm going to just judge y'all on what was and what is. In the same way that officer, maybe, again, suspend them for a week, I don't know, make them do paperwork. But when you start calling for people to be canceled, Tyreek, the biggest problem, bro, is that you're not looking in the mirror. You keep doing what you doing? Okay, I got something for y'all. Tyreek Hill, I'm going to share this. Tyreek has a history. And this is why I think he's playing a dirty game, a game, a scary game. Tyreek Hill has a history. This is from the Miami Herald on June 21st, 2023. There you go, 2023. I can talk, people. In 2023, little over a year ago, this article was written in the Miami Herald. Tyreek Hill has a history of legal problems relating to alleged violence. All right. This ain't to bash you, bro. I'm trying to tell you the truth that nobody else won't tell you, so you don't keep going down this road. Now, when you read this, Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill, who is being investigated by Miami-Dade police about allegations that he hit a charter employee at Hallover Marina on Father's Day, has faced legal troubles before over alleged violent incidents. All right. Now they're talking about that. A spokesperson said, "We are aware of the situation. We've been in contact with Tyreek and his representatives." Okay. Hill, 29 last year, is one of the biggest names in the NFL, but before the Dolphins made the blockbuster trade for him last offseason, he had a history of legal troubles with the Kansas City Chiefs and in college. A history. Not to bash you, because I believe in repentance, forgiveness, and restoration. I'm just trying to keep it 100 with you. In 2014, Hill was dismissed from Oklahoma State's football team after being arrested and accused of domestic violence. Hill allegedly threw his pregnant girlfriend around like a rag doll, punched her in the face, sat on her, punched her in the stomach, choked her, and according to a police report obtained by the Tulsa World in Oklahoma, Hill pleaded guilty to domestic assault and battery by strangulation. He received 3 years of probation and was sentenced to enroll in a year-long anger management course, a program designed to rehabilitate those who've been convicted of battery. In 2019, 5 years later, Hill was the subject of a criminal investigation for alleged battery after an incident left his son, then 3, with a broken arm. As of 2019, the case was inactive after medical investigations determined the arm was broken by accident. Hill did not receive any discipline from the NFL, so he was clear of that one. Now, here's the thing, though. Hill has a history of being violent, being angry, and maybe acting like he's above the law. The reason I'm saying we got to be real about that is because when you love somebody and they're walking into a fire, you grab them and pull them out. So a lot of these people talk about they love black people and all that, and then we just become enablers of people like this. And then we paint this narrative to the world that this is just being black in America, when to me you lose credibility, because there are real instances that maybe people who aren't black or have not lived in our culture and our neighborhoods or dealt with the police in a way that we have growing up, or even still now for people, they not gonna respect that. We ain't never gonna be able to make change if we keep using the bad examples as the standard. And I know it happens. Look, I've had a negative interaction with police as a teenager. I was, slightly wrongfully treated for really doing nothing. I know what it's like. For somebody to treat you, an officer to come in and treat you like more aggressively than the crime. So I ain't saying that don't happen. I'm just saying this ain't it. What this is the officer needs to be disciplined, handled, anger management, whatever. He seemed to have some emotional issues going on, and he has to understand that when you're in a position of authority, you can't lose it because people's lives are on the line, right? So there's a whole lot that needs to be said to him. But this Tyreek Hill thing, to me, the reason I'm speaking from this side is because everything I'm turning on TV, especially with the black people, the black talking heads on sports stations, they all just talking about the officer side and, this black. I'm like, bro, like, we just gonna literally skip my man. So that's that. That's the Tyreek Hill thing. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all can go off on me in the comments. But hey, if you think I'm right, you can like and subscribe on YouTube to inspire God's people as well. Now, we going to turn up the heat even more. I told y'all tonight I'm getting in a heavy, deep bag. Now we going to talk politics. If y'all thought that the first half of this show and talking about the football player Tyreek Hill was going to potentially upset some people who like to be on one side or the other, wait until we talk about Trump, President Donald Trump, and Vice President Kamala Harris. Listen, there was a debate this week. I know y'all heard about it. I know everybody been talking about who won, who lost. A lot of people are emotional. I'm going to share my feedback on the debate itself, but then we're going to jump into some policies. We're going to look a little bit deeper at the policies, and I'm going to show y'all where you can research the policies, because a lot of people don't know where to research and find out about the actual policies that these people are planning to implement when they come in office. Now, we know that all these policies ain't about to happen, right? These are the things that they are aspirational or want to do, and you'll see various levels of execution against these policies. But how I like to leverage policies is to see how people think. And the best thing about these two presidential candidates is they've both been in office. Kamala is literally the vice president right now. So if we want to know how she thinks and want to know how her party thinks, we can look at things that she stood behind and implement it now. That doesn't mean she's going to do everything the same way, no, but we know kind of where the Democratic Liberal Party leans. We know that where she's at on that radical side. Donald Trump was the former president, so we know the things that he's done and kind of what he stands for, so we can look at those things. And I'm talking about policies, not personalities, but we will talk about the personalities a little bit today, because I know that that's where most people focus is at, right? I'm going to take a sip of my drink before I jump into this political section, because y'all know I don't drink alcohol, but maybe we could have put some strong caffeine in this one. I'm going to need, hold on, I need another sip. Because y'all about to be mad. All right, so first we're going to talk about this debate. I'm going to give y'all a quick summary of how I feel about the debate. First of all, to me, debates, rallies, CNN interviews, these are not things that I'm going to base who I'm voting for or who I'm not voting for on, because I look at those as like marketing advertisements. So you know, if you see a commercial from your favorite fast food restaurant, you don't expect the burger to really look like that when you get to the drive-thru. You know they exaggerated on the commercial. You know they presented it a certain way. Now, what makes politics a little different is politics is a situation where you have the competitors face to face, and they making commercials about each other. It would be like if McDonald's and Burger King just like, we know they competitors, but it would be like if they just became like gloves off. McDonald's start saying crazy stuff about Burger King start putting McDonald's business out there. We wouldn't know where to eat at. You get what I'm saying? For those of y'all who eat fast food like that. So my point is, I don't believe in basing who I'm voting for off of these sound bites. I believe in looking at what you actually did or what you actually do. Because a lot of times people will say one thing, politicians will say one thing and do a completely different thing. So I say that to say it's important to know what the policies are so that you can understand what they're really going to do. Here's the way I will put it. I remember a couple years ago, like 3 years ago, we were living at my last house, and I hired a dude to build this deck in the backyard. And the dude came, it was a gazebo, not a full deck. The dude came, he had his logo on the shirt. He like looked professional. I found him on Thumbtack, and I had never used Thumbtack before. They say they do background checks. My man came, he was professional, everything. We set up this deal. When he came to do the work, my man came, he was a whole different person when he showed up to do the work. He came with his girlfriend, and I was looking like, this don't seem like a worker. No offense to the women. I'm like, this seemed, just their interaction, she seemed like a girlfriend. They came, and he was halfway doing the work. Got me in trouble with the homeowners association and everything because he was skipping steps. What's my point? I found out it was his girlfriend because I found him on Facebook, and I saw that they met on Tinder, on Instagram, actually. I found his Instagram page. What's my point? My man came, he presented himself professional. He said all the right things. When it was time to do the work, he wasn't qualified. I ended up having to fire him and hire somebody else who did a great job. So I know that sometimes people can be con artists. This is how politicians are. They know how to say the right thing. They know how to present themselves properly, but you got to look at the policies. All right. So here's my feedback as it relates to the debate. First, for me, Kamala won the aesthetic. I really think she won the optics on my first watch, but she lacks substance to me. To me, Trump allowed her to get under his skin, and the moderators. It was clearly a bias debate. The moderators are not supposed to be on one side or the other. And clearly, especially the lady, she was, I mean, and I know they like, she a AKA, Kamala's a AKA, and no offense to AKAs, I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but she definitely, like, she even corrected Trump, like on the abortion thing, like, yeah, and just for the record, da, da, da. And I'm like, woo, that's a moderator. That's not the role you're supposed to play as a moderator. These people are debating. You're supposed to be fair and neutral. And the reality of it was very clear that that lady was on Kamala's side and not Trump. I thought the guy did a better job, but he also was slightly biased, right? But all of that aside, Trump should have known that going in. He, to me, he got emotional. He was, he was jabbing. His personality, his style doesn't bother me as much as it bothers everyone else. I think there are different styles that make people successful, but I question like his temperament in this debate, and I don't know what his goal was. Like, what was your goal to like? It was just weird to me. It was a weird debate. To me, Kamala she was very scripted, but she's well spoken. I thought she leaned on trying to like look in the camera and say like unifying vague messages. I didn't feel like she was saying anything. I feel like she was more trying to deliver a message or a tone. Like a lot of marketing is about a tone, right? So if you think about brands you like, brands have tone. Like which one, like if you think of a brand that's edgy, right? Like, and I can't even think of nothing right now, but think of a clothing brand. Like there's a difference between Polo and what that looks like and feels like and Levi's, right? There's a different tone. You feel me, Mike? You got to look at the fruit, fam. And so to me, at the end of the day, I felt like Kamala was trying to sell a marketing message. She was very scripted though, and they didn't really challenge her. They asked her two challenging questions, I thought. I don't remember what they were, but I was trying to take notes. I thought there were two questions they asked her where they were trying to push her, but they probably asked Trump 10, like they led the witness, so to say. When they asked Trump something, they were already kind of setting the tone for like this negativity. And for me, I'm objectively trying to watch the debate. Because I want to see a fair fight. That's what I really want to see. I want to see fairness, but I'm starting to understand. I know I'm not starting to understand it, but it's like people just not gonna be fair. Politics is dirty. It also brings out the worst in the watchers and listeners as well. Because I notice people get nastier on my posts. They get dirt. It's like people you cool with, you've been cool with. We've been cool this whole time. And then people, if they think they feel differently than you, then they get ignorant and they get nasty. I don't understand it. I think it's kind of foul. And I think we should get out of that. We should learn how to disagree respectfully. You feel me? Yeah, she didn't say nothing. All right, so that was my thing, but I thought I did think Trump went off topic a few times. I felt like some of his rebuttals were all over the place, and maybe his anger was showing. Like I don't know, but I also saw that Kamala wants to debate again, according to her team. I think that would be a mistake for her. I think that would be more advantageous for Trump if they debate again. Especially if they get it on a different platform and it feels the tone, if his tone is totally different. I just don't know. I'm curious to see that. But I say that to say the debate to me was a mess all across the board. I didn't like this debate. But what matters most is how the independent, libertarian, undecided voters, how they react, right? Because the reality is you got people on Trump's corner that is nothing he could say or do to get them not voting for him. People in Kamala's corner is nothing she could say or do to make them not vote for her. And a lot of y'all might fall in one of these camps, but there's people in the middle that are undecided and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And this is where I think we need to lean on policies. And the way I put it is like this. I'm gonna give you an example before I jump into some of the policies. We're about to actually look at their policies, believe it or not. Some of them. There's if you want to call it like a blind policy test. There is, they both have these VPs candidates, Vance and Waltz. And these are both governors in their states now. And so they have a track record. This is another way that I think looking at policy is helpful because it helps you understand how people think. And I think looking at the VP policy is specifically or particularly important because they were chosen for a reason, right? So it lets you see how Trump and Kamala think and who they chose. Now, I was reading this article in Newsweek magazine or online. I said Newsweek magazine, but it was online. And they talked about one of J.D. Vance's policies centered around transgender children and one of Tim Waltz's. And I think it's interesting. So without knowing whose policies is who, because sometimes we are cheering and pushing for people and we don't even believe in what they're trying to push. So parents, I want to present y'all a policy, 2 policies, not in depth. This is very high level, just a summary of a policy. And you tell me which one you would want. The first policy is it's centered around, let me see. Oh, I should see if I could find, let me see if I could find it real quick so I can see the name of it. No, I'm not even going to do it. The first policy, I'm going to give you all this summary. The first policy is one of these governors believe that, doctors should be able to perform transgender surgeries on children, right? And they believe that that's the rights and they want to protect those rights to allow doctors to give kids puberty blockers and whatever else, so that a kid can transform from male to female, female to male, whatever it may be, right? So that's one of the policies, right? That's just, hey, that's objectively a policy. And again, the policy, we're not getting into in depth what the policy is or how it works, but just generally, one of these people believe that, hey, we want to protect the children's right to be able to change genders. The other one has something, one of their policies that they push is called the Child Protection Act, where they actually have the opposite view that, no, you cannot give these puberty blockers or perform these surgeries on children. And any doctor that does perform these type of surgeries or things on children will be penalized, right? With jail time or whatever else it may be. I don't know all the details. So now I ask you as the listener, you have 2 policies to choose, no personality attached to them. Which policy do you want for your children? This is simple. Do you believe that if your 5-year-old walks in the house today and it's a boy and he says, I want to be a girl, do you believe that you should give that 5-year-old puberty blockers and things to alter their gender at 5 years old? Now, if you believe that, you will be for the policy that wants to give children those rights. If you're on the side that says, whoa, 5 years old, like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, I mean, you can't drink alcohol at 5. Like, you can't drive a car at 5. Like, well, let's at least put an age on if you want to change from a boy to a girl, like you're going to at least have to be an adult to make that decision. Then you will go for the Child Protection Act. Now, my question is, which one do you want? Well, I'll tell you whose is whose. Tim Waltz is the policy and has the position that children should be able to change their gender and doctors should be able to perform these surgeries on children. And J.D. Vance has the position to Child Protection Act to protect children from doctors and people who want to influence them to do that. So you have to ask yourself throughout all, that's just one policy, right? We're going to look at some policies. You have to ask yourself, what policies do I want in place? And then vote on that. And if you want the hey, you want kids to be able to change their gender, then hey, vote for Tim Walz as your guy for vice president. If you want to protect your children, then JD Vance might be your guy if that issue is important to you. The question is, this is what's tough for people with politics. The question is, A, what issues are important to me? And then this is the hardest part. How do I prioritize them? Because do I prioritize my children, right, and protecting them or giving them rights or however, whatever side you stand on? Or do I, oh my God, this tax number looks better, so I want better taxes over here, so forget the kids, we're going to go with the tax. Like, prioritizing these issues in politics is very tricky, but in order to prioritize them, I can talk, people. In order to prioritize them, you have to know the policies. Yeah, it is horrible, Mike. You feel me? But the problem is we know the personalities very well, but we can't attach policies to them. So I think people are voting for personalities. I know that because based on a lot of people talk to me and it's based on personality. And when I ask people, I've been asking people these questions because I like to ask questions. Well, what do you think about the policies? Most people tell me like, well, I don't know. I ain't really had time. So wait a minute. You don't know? Like this, your kids' future depend on this. Your children are depending on you to make the decisions to create and shape the world and the country for them to be able to live in, and you don't know? That's irresponsible to me. I really don't understand how people are so passionate and uneducated. What up, Sel? What up, brother? So my thing is, hey, we got to get away from personality and get into policy. So let's do it, y'all. First, y'all want to start? Well, let's start at Kamala Harris. We're gonna start. Kamala just actually shared her policies. Let's see. This is new. Like this is like real new. Hold on, let me minimize myself and get out the way so that we can look at somebody. I don't know. I don't like when it's like that though. Can I do this? All right, let's do it this way, y'all. So where's Kamala? A new way forward. That's her marketing. So, and this is just KamalaHarris.com, and you go to the issues tab, and then you could really start learning. We're not gonna go deep in this, but we wanna start to understand the actual policies that these people are presenting, and see how they position themselves and see who has integrity, who doesn't. Like, you know, these politicians all lie. So you got to look through the lies on both sides. Who's lying? Who's exaggerating? Where do I really believe they stand for, right? What are the issues that are at the forefront? For Kamala, I think what she's shown so far is that abortion is really, or women's rights is what it's called now, but that's her main issue that she seems to be running on. So I'm curious to go on this site and see, well, what does she say about that in depth so that I can have something beyond sound bites. So let's see what they're saying. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are fighting for a new way forward that protects our fundamental freedom, strengthens our democracy, and ensures every person has the opportunity to not just get by, but to get ahead. As a prosecutor, attorney general, senator, and now vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris always stood up for the people against predators, scammers, and powerful interests. She promises to be a president for all Americans, a president who unites us around our highest aspirations, and a president who always fights for the American people. From the courthouse to the White House, that has been her life's work. Okay, that's what she says about herself. Build an opportunity. We're going to read headlines. We're going to skim through this, and then I'm going to go to Trump's. We're not going deep in this. The goal is for you on your own to come and start reading some of this stuff so that you can understand what these people are about. Build an opportunity economy and lower costs for families. Okay. Vice President Harris grew up in a middle-class home as a daughter of a working mom. She believes that when the middle class is strong, America's strong. She will create an opportunity economy where everyone has a chance to compete and stand and a chance to succeed, whether they live in rural areas, small town, or big city. Okay, great. So how is she going to do that? Let's see. Which ones look interesting to you? I like cut taxes for middle-class families. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz believe that working families deserve a break. All right. That's why under their plan, more than 100 million working and middle-class Americans will get a tax cut. Okay, I wonder how much. They will do this by restoring two tax cuts designed to help middle-class and working Americans, the child tax credit and the earned income tax credit. Through these two programs, millions of Americans get to keep more of their hard-earned income. They will also expand the child tax credit to provide a $6,000 tax cut to families with newborn children. They believe no child in America should live in poverty, and these actions will have a historic impact. Okay, great. Unlike Donald Trump, Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are committed to ensure no one earning less than $400,000 a year will pay more in taxes. All right. So it seems that their focus here, messaging wise, right, and I'm just paraphrasing, seems to be centered around, hey, middle class. She's presenting herself like, hey, I grew up in the middle class. She did that in a debate as well. Like, you know, I'm kind of your everyday person, which that's something else I want to talk about. I don't buy that completely. She believes when the middle class are strong, America's strong. I agree with that. But I would tell you what I don't like. And I know there is something that I always look at the undertone. Anyone earning less than $400,000 a year no one will pay more taxes. So this is my biggest challenge sometimes with politicians. We are incentivized to be broke. I got a question for y'all out there. Do you want to be a millionaire? Like, seriously, like, do you want to be a millionaire? Let me just talk about that real quick. Do you want to be a millionaire? Do you want to be wealthy? I want to be incentivized to be wealthy. So there's this expression in this, like, there's something I believe, right? There's kind of two sides to all of us, right? Like there's a winner and a loser living inside of you, right? And you got to wake up and decide every day, am I going to talk to the winner in me or do I talk to the loser in me? Do I talk to my spirit or do I talk to my flesh? And I believe that if you want to be a winner, you have to wake up and your entire mindset has to be sold out to believe like, yo, I'm a winner, we gonna grow. Why do I say this? This is challenging what I'm about to say. I don't believe politicians a lot of times are really trying to get poor people out of poverty. I believe they're trying to make them more comfortable in it. All right, that's too much. I know that's a lot. Like, a lot of times politicians want to make you comfortable in poverty. So their messaging is like talking to the poverty in you. And like, you can never get out of that. Like $400,000 is like, okay, taxes are important because if I'm incentivized to be broke, I'm saying this because I know people like this. Like, I genuinely I grew up in poverty. I know what it's like. I'm speaking firsthand. Like, when you're in poverty, there's going to be a lot of people in poverty, not everybody, who ain't never, like, if you give somebody food stamps with no qualifications, nothing, like, it's going to be a lot of people that's just like, bro, I ain't getting no job. Like, because I ain't going to qualify for the way the system is like, all right, you stay down here and be poor so you could qualify for this. The moment you start doing something in your life, you don't qualify for this stuff. And some people they want to qualify for this stuff so bad, they not going to win. I know we need this stuff. I'm not saying we get rid of this stuff, but I'm saying it's tricky because so much of these things speak to the loser in you. I just don't like the messaging of like, no one making less than 400,000 will earn more taxes, because it's like a 400,000. Okay, I'm gonna be real with y'all on how I think. If I'm reading that, right, now all of a sudden for me, if I'm being real, 400,000 becomes my personal target. Like, so when I go to this and I see this, it's like, oh, now if I was a person out here, I'm like, 400,000 is now my target. Because if that's y'all imaginary line of like people here are less than or poor or something, I'm above average. I'm going after that line. Anyway, I know I went off on there. Let's look at a couple more of hers and look at Trump's. Strengthen and bring down the cost of healthcare. Sounds great. That's good. Protect and strengthen Social Security and Medicare. And this is interesting. She will protect Social Security and Medicare against relentless attacks from Donald Trump and his extreme allies. She will strengthen Social Security and Medicare for the long haul by making millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share in taxes. She will always fight to ensure that Americans can count on them. Okay, y'all. Okay, like I'm sharing this with you, but like I'm giving my opinion. This is very opinionated. This ain't no debate, and I'm not a moderator. I'm giving you my opinion while we watch this. I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but I'm giving you my opinion. Everything I just said applies to this right here. See, the messaging is we will make millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share in taxes, as if they don't already, number one. And they gonna keep like incentivizing you to stay poor. Like, bro, like what? It's a lot of black people that's millionaires now. This is why I think like they're like, especially in like the black community, it's probably in other communities, but I'm black. I know what I know, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, that's what I know. But like in our community, it's like this idea that like we all poor. Like this generation of black people is getting money. So they talking about you, Kamala. They like, I don't know, like she not poor. These people be talking, they be talking like they not millionaires. That's what's crazy to me. At the DNC, there was a guy, somebody came up, was it Bernie Sanders? Don't quote me on that. Somebody came up dogging billionaires, and the next speaker was a billionaire. I just don't like that. I don't like that messaging. All right, cool. Let me find something good that I can agree with. So before I move on. Lower energy cost. Okay, tackle. I'm not dealing with climate. Okay, Trump's Project 2025 agenda. So you'll see that sprinkled out throughout here in red. Trump's 2025 agenda. I don't like that, y'all, because that's deceptive. That's deceptive. 2025 is not Trump. We're going to talk about that next. Like Project 2025 is not Trump. I just don't like the deception. She's focusing on that. Let's see, safeguard our fundamental, restore and protect reproductive, I can talk, freedoms. This is her major thing here. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz trust women to make decisions on their own bodies and not have the government tell them what to do. She goes into Roe v. Wade. So if you believe in that, then you can go there. But as you see, tackle the opioid and fentanyl crisis. I think this is a great thing. Committed to ending the opioid epidemic and tackling the scourge of fentanyl. She's been devastating. She's seen the impact. Okay, so look, if she's talking about going after this epidemic, I'm all for that. I think that's a great thing to go after, right? She talked about Trump agenda. Keep America safe and prosperous. I think this is tricky because of what's happened with the border under this administration. But nevertheless, support service members, veterans, their family, and caregivers and survivors. I think this would be great, depending on what they're going to do. I'm not going to dig into it, but that would be great. All right, cool. So as you see, there's a lot of different things that Kamala Harris has on her site. I advise you to go to kamalaharris.com/issues and read for yourself about these things so you can see where her plans are. And maybe you feel differently than I do and you agree or disagree. I think that's definitely your right to do that. And I'm not mad at people that disagree with me either. Like if you disagree, that's all good. That's your right. I don't know. I don't like people that have messaging is like, I'm not less than just because I grew up poor. Like I'm not less than and I'm not staying poor. Like, so it's like, you really talking about me. If you talking about millionaires, you talking about me, fam. Like that's how I take that. If I'm a millionaire or not, because I talk to the winner in me. I deal with myself based on where I'm going. I'm sorry. Like some people just stuck. Everything's stuck. It'd be like, I'd be looking at these celebrities like, you were worth $400 million talking about, yeah, being black in America is what? 400 milli, bro. What is you talking about? All right. Anyway, I get hype about this stuff. All right, now let's check out some of Donald Trump stuff. We're going to go through his a lot quicker. Y'all probably think y'all know where I stand with voting and stuff. Y'all don't, though. Because Like how I could sound might not be it. I just be telling the truth, bro. All right, let's look at. I'm not gonna play. He got videos. He also has statements. Oh, he got like videos, so I'm not really gonna play him. But you could see like, hey, President Donald Trump declares war on cartels. Um, this is really talking about the border. I definitely think that's an important thing. He's also talking about ending veteran homelessness. So you'll see like some of the things they talk about on the surface are the same things. It's just a matter of like what their plans are and their way that they're going to get it. No welfare for illegal aliens. So one of the things like, hey, like if you have illegal people coming into this country, Trump is saying that he's going to end welfare for illegal aliens and defend the wealth of hardworking American families. Let's see, talks to auto workers. I wish he had actually let me click one of these. Let's see. Oh yeah, he probably does have some stuff. Okay. Let's play this and see what happens.
The United States spends more money on education than any other country in the world, and yet we get the worst outcomes. We're at the bottom of every list. In total, American society pours more than $1 trillion a year into public education systems. But instead of being at the top of the list, we are literally right smack, guess what? At the bottom. Rather than indoctrinating young people with inappropriate racial, sexual, and political material, which is what we're doing now, our schools must be totally refocused to prepare our children to succeed in the world of work and in life and the world of keeping our country strong so they can grow up to be happy, prosperous.
All right, that's 4 minutes long, so we're not going to dig deep into that. But you can see their principles down here, 10 principles to power movement for great schools, restoring parental rights. So President Trump will turn back the tide of left-wing indoctrination and once again respect the fundamental right of parents to control the education, healthcare, and moral formation of their children. He supports the rights of parents to know what their children are being taught in the classroom and to be able to openly communicate any of their concerns with teachers and principals. And let's see, he will immediately reverse Joe Biden's barbaric gender-affirming care policies, and he will sign an executive order instructing every federal agency, including the Department of Education, to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. So I'll allow you to kind of read through that on your own, but again, you can kind of see where he stands with that. Let's see if it's something I disagree with. It's a lot of these. Calls for the death penalty for human traffickers. Somebody might be passionate about that. Rebuilding America's depleted military. Protecting students from the radical left and Marxist maniacs. Look, there's a lot here, right? And I've been kind of talking for a long time. So the really oh, you'll see here, ending the scourge of drug addiction in America. I want to read this a little bit because Kamala had this as well. Let's see. We will not rest until we've ended drug addiction crisis. For 3 decades before my election, drug overdose deaths. So you can see this is similar to Kamala's fentanyl statement. A lot of these things that you see here addressing the drug overdose epidemic. Look, a lot of times, they'll talk about the same stuff. But they have very different ways in going about it. So what's my point? I urge you to go and read some of this stuff for yourself. But I got one more thing that I want to show you before I go. Something else that I really didn't, I don't like blatant deception. I believe on both sides they exaggerate and they lie at times. And at times I really don't know what is the truth and what's not. I'm just being honest. Like there are some of these things that they say at each other and I'm like, I genuinely don't know what the truth is because there are instances that happen like January 6th that we got different videos, different angles. It's like some of the stuff that happens today, you can see it and still not know if you could believe it or not. still not know what you seeing. Is it an angle? Is it a camera? Is it fake? Is it somebody? It's just, we live in a crazy world, fam. But I'm gonna tell you one thing that I think is important. This Project 2025. You saw it on Kamala's site. She said it in the debate. She said this is Trump's Project 2025. And so honestly, I didn't know anything about Project 2025 until she mentioned it, and it caused me to go look it up. And I went to look it up because I'm like, man, what is this about? Is this Trump's? And I genuinely don't like that they're lying, calling it his, and it's not his. So let's look at what Project 25 is. So this is project2025.org. Let me say this is like over 1,000 pages. I don't have a personal position on it because I've only read about 60 pages of the 1,000, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just wanted to get an idea of what it was. I could tell you that it's not all right, it's not all wrong just from so far. Like you can read, and this is my problem with things when things get branded a certain way and people run with it. There are things like Project 2025 on the other side as well. They're called different things. They actually talk about that in here. So like sometimes I just don't like, this is what I don't like about politics. I don't like being blatantly lied to or deceived in order to try to get my vote. So according to project2025.org, the truth about Project 2025, we're just going to go through this a little bit. And again, this is not me being an advocate for this. I do not know what this is all about. I do not know everything in here. I am not saying that I agree or disagree with this. I do agree with certain aspects of things that I have read, and maybe I'll read something and you'll see and like, okay, there are things in here that you might agree with or disagree with. But I ain't reading this to you because I'm for it. I'm reading it to you because I came to the knowledge of this because everybody keeps calling it Trump's. And I'm like, what is it? And I wanted to know. So the left has spent millions fear-mongering about Project 2025 because they're terrified of losing their power, and they should be. Project 2025 offers a menu of solutions to the border crisis, inflation, a stagnant economy, and rampant crime. It shows how we can take on China, fix our schools, and support families. But most importantly, it dismantles the unaccountable deep state, taking power away from leftist elites and giving it back to the American people. Project 2025 is a historic movement. Is a historic movement brought together by over 100 respected organizations from across the conservative movement to abolish the deep state and return government to the people. Project 2025 is not partisan, nor is it secret. Project 2025 does not speak for any candidate or campaign in any capacity. It was stood up in 2022 before any major candidate announced a campaign to assist the next conservative president. We are an open book with our materials available online. So what they're essentially saying is like, yo, everything about Project 2025 is in the open. This isn't like a secret thing that people can't know about. You can go on their website and read it. Project 2025's policy book is nothing new. Mandate for Leadership has been published regularly since the 1980s. In it, respected conservative authors expose conservative policy ideas for incoming administrations to consider. Progressive organizations do the same thing. As just one example, the far left Center for American Progress prepares policy recommendations for liberal presidents, including President Obama in 2008. We will not stop offering ideas to reverse America's decline. Our aim is to restore American democracy of, by, and for the people, not of, by, and for the elites who currently control Washington. And so, as you'll see, they have all type of things in here. So here's the main thing: debunking the lies. Project 2025 is a plan from Trump. False. Even liberal USA Today's fact checkers have rated this claim as false. They wrote unambiguously that Project 2025 is an effort by the Heritage Foundation, not Donald Trump. All right, my big thing is we got to be educated. We got to be informed. And then you can make your own decision. And we got to give each other the space to make a decision. I don't believe in all this pressure to make somebody vote a certain way because I'm a certain color, I'm from a certain city, or like we in the same family. Like, you don't tell me how to vote. I don't tell you how to vote. I don't own your vote. That's your right. When we were slaves, then you ain't had no right. But now your right is your right. See, my thing, like with black people in any minority community, is like we got to get out of this idea that the group can tell you how to think. Y'all can't tell me how to think, bro. Like, our experience, like your ethnicity, you are who you are. Like, if you black, if you from the hood, if you ain't from the hood, like, you black. Like, people can't tell you how to be black. Like, bro, no. If I want to vote for peanut butter and jelly for president because I think that's what's best, that's what I'm going to do. Keep messing around and Elmo will be on the ballot. My point is, like, you don't own my vote and I don't own yours. And it's an insult to my intelligence to think that you can think for me. What we should be doing, what I urge everyone to do, is go to these websites, read these policies for yourself. Because if you're going to be passionate, if you're going to be aggressive, you might need to know what you're talking about. Now, I'm not saying I know everything. I'm learning. I'm striving to learn. But I'm also not out here pressuring people and telling them how to think. The only thing I'm pressuring people and telling them is to educate themselves. Lean on their faith. Don't lose your faith in this election. Don't let history write that you turned away from God because of pressures from any political party on any side, because neither of these candidates are your savior. But that doesn't mean that there's not a position that God will want you to take. See, I don't believe in taking God out of my political decision. I don't believe in taking my faith out of it or making excuses for it, because I ain't never seen that in the Bible. Now, you're free to believe what you want to believe, and I'm not going to judge you for it. I'm going to pray for us, this nation. I'm going to pray for you, the watcher, the listener. And I hope and pray that your vote ages well, that you don't find yourself just voting a particular way because in a particular period of time you couldn't handle the heat, because the people applied too much pressure. Everybody on my timeline said they was voting this way, so I had to do it. Nah, where the leaders at? Where are the believers at? Where are the people that want to critically think, that want to respect and love each other and give each other the space to be free? We are free now. This ain't 125 years ago, 35 years ago, whatever it was. Sometimes we still act like it. That's the American nightmare to me. The American nightmare is that through all the freedoms of slavery and civil rights and all these things that have happened in all these years, that I will find myself in 2024 and still have to act like a slave who doesn't have their own rights, who doesn't have the right to think for himself, who doesn't have the right to speak publicly about his thoughts. Because everybody want to cancel you now if you don't agree with them. Who's in charge of cancel culture? Who's the president of cancel culture? Who decides what the position is that we all have to agree with, and then 90% of the people walk around being fake, acting like they agree with it? Y'all know y'all don't agree with most of the stuff that they saying out here that you got to agree with. But you just going along with the flow because they said it. Whoever they are, whatever they believe, it ain't the Bible. And anybody who tries to manipulate you, leveraging the Bible, mishandling it to make you think, hey, it's okay, you can, look, man, you got to take this up with God. I genuinely believe that believers need to go before the Lord and truly seek him for guidance on how to vote in this election. Seek the Lord so that you could be comfortable and you could live with your decision. And so that once you vote and the world starts shaping based on the policies of the politician and the president that you put in office, that you could look your kids in the face and be proud of the world that you helped shape for them. But the idea that strangers on the internet get to tell you how to think and get to pressure you on how to vote simply because of the color of your skin or the neighborhood or city you came from is utterly ridiculous. And I know that most people are scared to say it because I've learned that adults experience more peer pressure than children, which is really childish when adults are dealing with each other in ignorant, nasty, uneducated ways online, just throwing slurs and emotional rants at one another in the comment section. I don't understand what people get out of it. When they jump in the comments and they think all of their emotions is pouring out and they're telling you how horrible one candidate really is. And I'm not talking about discussions. I respect discussions. I'm fine with disagreements, but I think like it might be something wrong with us, y'all, if we are going on the internet hollering at people through text that we ain't never met and don't know because they think something differently than us. When in reality, we haven't even done the research and educated ourselves to even know why we think what we think. See, my thing is this. I'm not going to say I don't care how you vote, but I respect that you have a vote and that you get to choose how to use it. But what I don't respect is that if you try to tell me how to use my vote and I ask you why, you respond that you don't know. That is a blind follower. I don't think any of us, with all of the information around today, with the internet, Google at your fingertips, YouTube at your finger, you can search Kamala Harris policies right now, Donald Trump policies, in 5 minutes, you can know one of those policies. I think it's utterly ridiculous for us to be arguing about personalities when we don't even know policies. Because a good or bad personality is not going to shape the education system for your kids in school. A good or bad personality is not going to make the laws. Nobody goes to court and even remembers who put the law in action that you're abiding by, because that law lives on and that law governs. So when you put good personalities in place who have bad policies, you end up with bad laws. You end up affecting yourself in the end. So with that, I say, go out, educate yourself, respect yourself by making your own decision, taking it before the Lord. But please respect your fellow brother and sister in Christ, because the last time I checked, we were ambassadors of Christ. We were brothers and sisters in Christ, saved by the blood of Jesus, the blood of the Lamb, the ultimate sacrifice. We were not saved by the Democrats. We were not saved by the Republicans. We were not saved by the libertarians. We were not saved by the independents. We were saved by the power of Jesus Christ, who died for all men, for all women, for all nations, that our souls may be saved and we may make it into the kingdom of heaven. And I, for one, will not come on the internet or the digital airwaves and preach the gospel of politics stronger and more powerful and at a higher volume than I preach the gospel of Jesus. It's the only way that we can unify. You know what? One of the things I would love to see come back, prayer in schools. Maybe it's back. I don't got kids. I don't know. But at one point we prayed in school when I was coming up and they took it out. And the last time I checked, schools ain't got better. Violence in schools ain't got better. We need to bring prayer back. Bring prayer back into your life. Stop making God something separate from your culture. Look, man, I'm probably not going to talk a lot about politics moving forward, but I thought it was important to at least make an attempt at having a discussion with people respectfully, where maybe I say some things you like, Maybe I say some things you don't like, and that's all good. But hopefully, all things being said to the glory of God, and all things being said not to condemn those who disagree with me. Because I understand that I don't know everything. I understand that I am not the end all be all, and my opinion is not something that everybody in the world should blindly follow. But I do believe in the power of faith. I do believe in the power of Jesus Christ. And I do believe that we need that power more than we ever have for our nation, regardless of who wins. I want to see everyone saved, everyone turning to God, trusting in Him, putting those values back at the forefront of our country and our families and our household and our interactions. Because if I'm being real, we don't even deal with each other as Christians no more. Like, some of us don't even think we gotta, like, I'm talking about don't separate your faith from your politics. Some of us don't even act like Christians on social media. We get on Facebook and we don't even talk like a Christian. We cussing people out in the comment section because they voted differently. It's crazy to me. But look, man, I appreciate y'all for sticking around and listening. This has been Inspire God's People, episode 228, The American Nightmare, Trump, Tyreek, and Kamala. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Check us out on YouTube. You'll see different clips from this episode dropping throughout the week. And next week, if you missed anything, you can go to our YouTube channel at Inspire God's People and check out past episodes as well, or search on Apple Podcasts, Inspire God's People. It's been real. I love y'all. God bless y'all. I really hope that this blesses somebody, even if they disagree with me, man. We got to learn how to disagree with people and still respect them, because if I'm being real, it's just a reflection of our own character. When you acting wild on social media and talking crazy, it's not a reflection of the person you talking to. It's really you. It's you that has the problem. Sel, brother, thank you so much, man. God bless you. Love you, man. Hope you and the family doing well. All of y'all have an amazing, amazing, amazing